So how do record labels run ads that generate millions of streams for their artists? How do I run ads that generate millions of streams for artists? It's pretty straightforward using meta ads, but you have to know all the steps. And I wanted to make a video really breaking this down because it can feel a little Byzantine, but understanding how meta ads work and getting those millions of streams using ads is kind of like being a mechanic. Once you understand how the system works, you're able to do it consistently and repeatedly. And I've been teaching people how to do this for years, and I want to make a video breaking it down step by step as possible. To do this, you are going to need to have a meta business portfolio set up, and then within that business portfolio, an ad account and a way to pay on that ad account. And Meta has clear instructions for how to do that. They don't do clear instructions super well all the time. That they can do. And I'm going to link to those instructions in the description for you to be able to execute on. And then on top of that, to run these ads, you're going to need obviously a song on streaming, probably Spotify, because that's where the majority of streaming happens, like it or not. And I haven't really had success running ads for streaming on other platforms because they're so much less popular. And then you're going to need some vertical video content to be able to test. When I take on a client, we try to really push them to have like at least 5 pieces of vertical video content. And this doesn't need to be super fancy. Like you could do like badass reels or whatever, but if you don't have that for whatever reason, you can also just do I don't know, cut downs of your music video or whatever. Or if you have sick live performance footage, edit that together a little bit, throw some studio audio on there, boom, there you go. So it doesn't need to be hard to start. Now, to get going, so this whole process starts by going to adsmanager.facebook.com. And it should take you to a page that looks like this with your ad account. If you're not sure if it's the right ad account, you can click this drop down and see all the ad accounts you're a part of and join the right one. If you want to double check that the billing is correct, you would just click over here into billing and payments, and that shows you all the info. I don't want to click in there and show you some of my credit card info. Whatever, fine. So now we're here. Now the first thing you want to do as we get started here is you want to click over into Events Manager. Once you get over here into your Meta Events Manager by clicking that link, again, this little guy, you're going to click Connect Data. Then you're going to click into a web pixel, and you're going to click Next. You're going to click Create New Data Set. Unselect the Request a Free Conversion API Gateway demo thing. And then you're just going to call it Sample Pixel for YouTube, for example. I mean, you would probably name it like your artist name Pixel. Anyway, so now we're going to click Create. And that'll take a second. Don't worry, some of this is slow. You're going to choose the ad account you want attached. So here I'm just using the Blues Funeral one. So I'm just going to select that. And now we click the next button. We're going to let it load for a minute. And I didn't want to edit this out because I wanted you to see how long it can sometimes take so you don't have to stress about it. And then over here, you'll see your pixel information, right? Easy enough. You know what I mean? Okay. And you might need a refresh to get your new pixel. If you had an existing pixel, you can use that one too. Just FYI. So what we're going to do here is we're now going to go and we're going to choose a tool to build our landing page. I like to use Smart Noise. It's probably the cleanest one. There's lots of good options for this too. You have HypeEdit, you have ToneDen, I believe still does it pretty well. You have a lot of things. I will say the link tree doesn't really work for this, just FYI. Anyway, so now we have all our links, whatever. We're going to, if you're not already set up, you need to go into all artists and you need to add yourself as an artist on your Smart Noise account. Relatively straightforward. Like literally you would just plug in your artist name here. I don't know. And you can plug in any artist as the artist name, like Black Sabbath. So here, technically, I could create landing pages with Black Sabbath branding. Obviously, I don't have access to their socials. I'm just giving an example, right? So whatever. So then you're going to click Create Link. You're going to choose for an existing release because your song is out. Today, we're actually going to choose a link for my friends over in Chaos Bay, just as the example of the day. So we're going into Chaos Bay. We're going to do this for their new song Enemy. So we're just going to right click, and then copy link to the album. It's really just a single, but it's all the same thing in the end, right? So, okay, now we're going to go back here and we're going to paste this in. And for the record, pretty much all the landing page tools you might use kind of work the same way. You know, like if you've done this in Hypeedit or something, it all kind of looks the same. So, and we're going to click continue. Here, I always like to just make sure that the artist name is on the landing page. You know, my extension was taken. Oh, because I already set up a campaign for this, so we're just going to call it that. Continue, and now it's going to auto-populate everything we want. Here, we're just trying to do a few basic streaming services, but these tools are cool because you could also throw in, for example, like a link to your merch or a link to your Bandsintown and upcoming shows, and then all these other services if you want, or create your own custom service, whatever. And so now you're going to click continue. Now, it might have auto-populated with a different pixel ID, but we're just going to go into Events Manager. We're going to copy our pixel ID. Boom. And then we're going to go under Settings, and we're going to wait for a second because everything with Meta takes time. And now we want to scroll down to where it says Generate Access Token. And so we're going to get this and paste it in here and click Publish. And, you know, we probably have to switch over our filter back to Chaos Bay. You can see how many campaigns we do. This is the new one, I believe. And if you just visit the link, hey presto, this is what it looks like. Now, you might be asking, what is a metapixel? Why did we just do all that stuff to get this landing page? How is this different from like your link tree? So what a metapixel is essentially it's tracking the actions people are taking on your web page. Okay? So what we're doing here is we're going, okay, we have this landing page, but we want to optimize for the actions people are taking on this landing page, right? And so that's really what I want everyone to see and understand here. We're not just running ads to get clicks on something. We're running ads trying to go, okay, how do we optimize for the action we want to see people taking? In this case, the action we want to see people taking is clicking through the landing page, getting over to streaming. Are you with me? And so what that means, clicking through the landing page, getting over to streaming, is you're getting a much more high intent person than if they just clicked a link that took them direct to streaming, right? And also, the way Meta works is they're able to kind of optimize for people who actually take that step. So you're not just showing to anyone who clicks or to anyone in general. You're going to build an audience, but it's going to be optimized for people who take the step you want them to take. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. And that's like the really cool part of all of this. So now we're going to go back to our Meta Ads Manager. And we're going to click Create. And we're going to choose, you can choose a sales campaign or an engagement campaign. Lately, I've been choosing sales. The results basically end up being the same. We're going to click Continue. Now, we're going to name this Sample Chaos Bay Campaign. And now what we're going to do here, we're going to switch over to an ad set budget, and I'll explain what that is in a minute. But on the highest level, the campaign tier, all we're doing essentially is going, okay, here's the name of the campaign. Here's kind of how we want to divvy up the money. And what we want to divvy up for ad sets, because we're going to be targeting, we want a certain amount of money going to each audience rather than Meta deciding where it goes, because we want to be able to properly test stuff. And you want to kind of turn off all their campaign recommendations because that stuff doesn't work. The Advantage Plus sales campaign stuff we can ignore for now. So now we're going to click Next. Now we're getting to our sales ad set level. So here, you want to name it after how you're going to be targeting. So here we're going to name this Hard Rock. And we'll show you how to target in a second. For your conversion location, you want to switch over to just a website. Okay. Now you want to choose the right pixel. So here we chose sample pixel for YouTube. And now our event is the view content conversion event. Now, don't worry about it setting up conversions, because if you chose a good landing page service like Smart Noise, this has already been done for you. And as soon as it goes live, it'll start to work. So anyway, now our daily budget, I don't like to do this as much. I prefer to go lifetime budget. We'll make it $100. And I prefer to do lifetime budget because it just makes the math a little bit easier. And we're gonna choose how long we run this for. We're gonna run $100 in ad spend on a Hard Rock audience for a month. So here's where we actually get to how we're targeting. And Meta recently gouged out a lot of how the targeting works. And so it's no longer a thing of like, oh, hey, you can target relatively small artists who are similar to you. You're really targeting more genres and like lookalike audiences and stuff. Today, I just wanted to show you the genre targeting because I've been having a lot of success with this. It really hasn't lowered my results compared to what they were 6 months ago, and you can still target smaller artists. So we're going to click further limit the reach of the ads. We're going to, again, click this. You don't really want to use Meta's AI suggestions. Most of them kind of suck. So first, we're going to figure out countries. Here, I will add locations in bulk usually. And generally, what I'm doing is US, Canada, most of Europe. I tend to avoid the some of the poorer countries in Europe because they tend to have a little more botting going on. But, overall, you can do most of Europe. I have like a weird way of remembering this. I don't know if anyone cares about my weird brain, but I do a lot of like mind palace memory tricks. And so literally what I'll do is in my head, in my mind palace, I have a map of Europe and I'd like imagine myself walking over it, which I don't know. Some people think that's like really weird. It helps me. But yeah, like for the record, you don't want to be targeting every country that has access to Spotify because you're going to end up getting a lot of like low value countries and weird stuff happening. I know some people like to throw in Brazil and Mexico because they actually tend to have high discoverability, and that does tend to work in my experience. But you don't have to. I know some people feel kind of paranoid about that, but honestly, I've been kind of trying that out on a few campaigns lately, and it hasn't been too big an issue. So we're going to just throw it in here for now. We also like to have Australia and New Zealand. Did I get most of what I like in Europe? I'm walking through that map in my head. Blah, 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 blah. And if you write a country's name in twice, or you can just make a copy-paste list of countries, it's not an issue. So don't worry about that. So now we're going to click match locations. And so we want to this is kind of where you need to be thoughtful. Because some locations it'll match, but like Netherlands has Netherlands Antilles, or France has, a whole empire that we don't really talk about. So you need to get rid of those countries. Island Islands, we don't really want that. No offense to anyone in the Island Islands. So we're adding 27 locations. Cool. Okay. And you really want to avoid India and China. They have a lot of bots. That's going to really nuke your campaign. And now we're going to go to the detailed targeting layer, and we're going to choose for this Hard Rock. Just for the record, I don't ever really limit by age or gender. Meta tends to kind of figure that out on its own. You want to give it a reasonably big set of places to pull from. So here we just want to point out the beneficiary and payer info. So the beneficiary, so we're going to just write that in because this is going to be Chaos Bay, and the payer will be me. Okay. So obviously you're not running ads for financial products and services, so we don't need to worry about that. Now we're going to go to show more settings. And here, what you have to realize is we don't really want to run anything on feeds. We don't really want to run anything on in-stream or search results or apps and sites. What you want to do is you want to run on stories and reels, because that's where people actually watch with the sound on. That's really important. Now, we're going to take away limited spend to excluded placements, because then they'll end up putting a bunch of your budget in like places that don't work for ads, like Facebook Marketplace or something. Don't do that. Okay, so now we're going to skip through this. We're going to go and we're going to choose our Facebook page, which is attached to the Instagram. And if it's not showing up, it's pretty easy to connect your Facebook to your Instagram. And for the record, you do need a Facebook page to do this, but it can just be a dummy page. If you don't want to run any ads on Facebook, then we would just go back here. We would go to placements again, edit it. We would just take out Facebook stories, Messenger stories, Facebook Reels. I like to leave it in. I tend to do a lot of rock, which, has a lot more of a Facebook audience than other platforms, but, do as you will. Anyway, so we're doing single image and video. And now we're going to go for the website URL. And now we're going to go and we're going to upload our 2 reels that we had. And there was just 2 for this example. Again, you probably want more so you can test. And I'll show you how some of the testing works in a minute here. And it takes a minute for these to process and to get properly set up. So we'll take a second. And again, don't worry if stuff takes a second as long as it's processing. Sometimes, especially on older computers, it might make your browser crash. And that kind of happens, but just refresh. You won't lose your progress. It saves it as you go. So we're going to select our reel here. We're going to click next. We don't need to trim it. We have it. We're not putting in any text, and you'll see why in a second. And we're going to change the call to action to listen now, because that's what we want people to do. We're going to turn off the AI enhancements, because that'll make your ad look kind of weird. And then, now you have an ad that looks something like this, right? Where it's like here, it's a lot of live footage, some studio footage, it's cool. There's a lot, and there's a lot of options. I think the singer's telling you to listen now here. Sick. Okay. Double check that we have the right pixel. And then you can click publish, or if you're not ready to publish yet, what you want to do is duplicate your ad into the original campaign, because you want to put in a different piece of creative. So now all the other settings were saved, and you're just going to click change video. Next, we're going to choose our other reel. And always double check that the AI enhancements are off. Okay, beautiful. Now we have another reel that we're testing to get people excited. Now, if you want to add a different audience on, instead of clicking duplicate on an ad, you're going to click duplicate on the ad set, which is where you choose your audience and placements and stuff. So this, by duplicating, that saved all my settings, but I'm going to make this one metalcore. And so now we scroll past, everything has remained the same, and we're not going to change our countries or anything, but on our detailed targeting, we're just going to go and we're going to change it. We're going to X out of hard rock, and we're going to type in metalcore. And now, boom. Okay, and then if I click publish, all this goes live, and we're good to go, right? Or at least that ad set goes live, and then I'd have to go and click publish on this guy separately. Guess what? You have now set up your first ad. Pretty cool, right? Was that so hard? I don't think so. But how do you know if your ad is working? Well, after it's run for a few days, you can go in and you'll see how many view contents you generated. So click-throughs of the landing page, because that ad drives people to this landing page when they click listen now, and then they click through to one of these streaming services, right? Generally, they're going to choose Spotify because most people listen on Spotify. And so that's It tells you how many people you got to drive through. Here we ran this ad for a while. We got 3,493 people here, 2,356 on this audience, the metalcore audience versus the hard rock audience. And here we can see it cost us 9 cents to get a new person under this audience and 13 cents to get a new person under this audience. But it goes deeper. If I click into metalcore, I can see which of my clips did good, which of my clips did not so good. And so I'm able to go, oh, okay, this one did 21 cents. I turned that off. This one was doing 12 cents. We're leaving that guy on. And then you just check in every 48 hours and you see what's working, what's not working, etc., etc. And then you build from there. So that's pretty damn cool, if you ask me. Now, if you want to check if it's working beyond that, what you might want to do, you want to go into Spotify for Artists and see how many people were streaming from going off of your profile and catalog, because those are the people who like actively were on that page rather than hearing it from a playlist or whatever, right? And so obviously some of those people are fans who are like looking up your band and clicking play, but a lot of those people were driven by the ad. So if you see a big jump in that, that means your ad was working. And what you have to understand here is that it's not really about, oh, we spent $100 and got, 500 people to go listen to our song 3 times each. It's about, by doing that, you were able to grow your Spotify popularity score. And because Spotify popularity score is really just a function of like what your streams were over the last 28 days. And so by doing that, you're able to go, oh, okay, our Spotify pop score went up. Now we're getting more algorithmic playlists. If we're getting more algorithmic playlists, lots of other good things start to happen, right? Because especially people like your song on those algorithmic playlists, then you get even more streams and it compounds on itself. And so this is the way that ads sort of become recurring growth forever. Now I want to be very clear about something. There is no set it and forget it with this. Like something that is crushing might stop crushing after a little while because you burnt through your audience, and maybe a certain ad starts to cost more after a little while. You want to start turning those things off. You want to keep an eye on it, and you want to also always be feeding it with new content. One of the big things we've learned over the last year with Meta is that increasingly they're trying to do more of the targeting on their own. Like I said, they gutted a lot of the targeting options, and the idea on the flip side is that they want you to test more content, right? Because it's a better consumer experience, if you think about it, to have lots of different pieces of content for people to interact with. But that's also better for you to test as a creator and as someone trying to market your music. So make sure you have a lot of content. Ideally be feeding content into the machine consistently. Sometimes you get a piece of banger content that just wins forever. I've had it happen. But you can't count on that happening. And the other piece is like, you're not going to make money off of these ads directly. Even in a best case scenario where, you spend $4,000 or $5,000 and are able to generate 1 million streams, that's still only barely sort of maybe pays for itself. And that's really only if a lot of people are resonating with your song. What it does do is it gets more people into your universe, right? People who are like, oh, this artist is really cool. And then you're able to feed more things into that, and more things, and more things, and more things. And that's when good stuff starts to really happen, and it gets really exciting. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you keep that in mind, because otherwise it could blow up in your face. But yeah, this is basically how I run ads every day that help artists grow their streams. There's a few other tricks that we can kind of get into, but I think that was as clear a breakdown as I could do. You might have to go back and watch if you have questions. Subscribe for more. I'm going to try to do more videos like this, and email mattatrap@media.net for a private consultation. I try to answer every email I get in. These YouTube videos have been a big learning process for me. I've been learning a lot with them. It's been tricky, but I've been really kind of enjoying it. So follow me as I figure this all out. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. It means a lot. Bye now.